Conor Benn back out against Chris Algieri. Is this his toughest test today?
Without any question. You know, we've seen a lot of fighters that have come recently, talked a great game against Conor Benn. How many of them truly believe they can win the fight? Chris Algieri, he's got money, he's got world championships. He doesn't have to be here. He's here because they think they can beat him and they fancy the challenge. So I think it's a great clash of styles. You know, the older, experienced world champion against the young lion in Conor Benn. And Conor's got to be really switched on and sharp in this fight because it's not going to be easy.
Have talks started with MVP regarding Taylor Serrano?
Yeah, for a long time. We're in a great position. I think that fight's virtually agreed, really. Both girls have just got to win, and I'm quite nervous for Katie on Saturday because, again, when you've got a fight like that in the pipeline, just want to see both girls win over the next couple of weeks, and I'm almost certain you'll see that fight in April at Madison Square Garden.
So I'll ask you about Demetrius Andrade ordered to fight Janibek. Is that going to happen, or is he likely to vacate?
I don't know. I mean, it's disappointing because obviously we wrote to the WBC to try and get the Charlo fight ordered, and the WBO as well. And the WBO just ordered the Janibek fight. Nothing against Janibek, but it's another fight for Demetrius where we're going to just get criticised and no one knows who the challenger is. He needs a big fight next, and if that means vacating and moving up to become mandatory at 68 or some kind of eliminator against a big name, that's definitely something we'll consider.
You said you spoke to Teofimo Lopez Sr. after the Kambosos fight. Have you had any conversations since with him about it?
No, I'm waiting for the apology still. But there's a lot of emotions that night. You know, I mean, obviously his son, his life had just been turned upside down. You know, he was the hottest thing in boxing, and all of a sudden he just got beat by a guy that was a massive underdog in the fight. So it was disappointing. You know, on the Friday, his dad said, "This is the greatest team I've ever worked with, greatest promotion we've ever been involved with," and then a few hours later, he wishes he'd never done it with Matchroom because if it was on the Top Rank show, the judges' scorecards would have been different apparently, which I'm not sure how that happens, but he said some silly things, and you know, but I also understand there was a lot of emotion running around that night.
Last one from me. Fury-Whyte is ordered. Realistically, for a deal to be agreed, does it have to be a joint pay-per-view between BT and DAZN?
No, you know, Tyson Fury's not going to agree a deal for that fight to land with Matchroom, I don't think. But we and Dillian Whyte would agree to the right deal from Top Rank for that fight. But it has to be a deal that gives Dillian Whyte the credit and the respect, more importantly, that he deserves. He's been waiting for a long time. And we don't yet know what the official split is for that fight, but you can't really negotiate a fight until you know what you're negotiating. So when purse bids are called for that fight, we'll know what the split is. We would like to make a significant offer for that fight, or a significant bid for that fight, so we know what that bid will be, and the offer that comes in from the other side has to be competitive with the money that we would pay for that fight, because if not, it will go to purse bids. But no one's looking to be difficult or clever. Dillian Whyte wants his shot, but he also wants the credit and respect that he deserves in those negotiations.
Will you now press ahead with the Joshua Usyk rematch?
Yeah, we're always pressing ahead with that. You know, I had a couple of conversations with people about an alternative route that involved maybe Joshua having a warm-up fight first. He didn't want to do that, so gladly I don't have to have those discussions with him.
What do you make of Bob Arum's comments that the WBO are suggesting that Lomachenko is going to be the mandatory for Kambosos Jr.?
I think that would probably be the case. You know, I think he'll push very hard with the WBO. He has a good relationship with them, and you know, Lomachenko has a right as well, if he keeps winning, to become mandatory. And you know, this is why it's important for Kambosos to make the Devin Haney fight, because he needs that undisputed fight. He won't want to fight Lomachenko. You know, he'll believe he can beat Devin Haney. He can do that fight in Australia, and he should look to make that. Certainly that would be allowed before a mandatory, especially with George Kambosos just winning the belt. So we'll see what happens.
What are your thoughts on Amir Khan versus Kell Brook? Obviously a little bit later than everyone would have liked.
Good fight. I mean, it's nowhere near what it once was, and I know it's had a lot of criticism, but it's still a good fight, you know. And you can't knock the guys. They've both had tough careers. They've both sat down and sort of agreed with each other, look, let's put the rubbish aside. Let's just make as much money as possible. And that's what it is. And no one should blame them for that. There's no point coating it in anything different. They just want to cash out before they retire. But it's still, you know, I guess a 50-50 fight. And, you know, better late than never, I guess is the wording on that one.
The winner of, say, Khan-Brook, do you want Ben to fight?
I do, but I just feel that, you know, I had those conversations with Amir Khan. It's not that he's scared of Conor Benn, but he didn't want to fight a young, hungry lion. You know, he looked at the Kell Brook fight and said, look, we've both kind of agreed here, let's just have our last little payday, which they deserve. But they don't really want to fight a young, and I don't think they'll fight again, the winner of that fight, to be honest with you. So for Conor, I'd like him to fight Adrien Broner. You know, I think that's a really big fight for him in the UK. He's a household name, Adrien Broner, as well. But he's got to get past Algeria. It's not going to be easy.
How do you see it going on Saturday night?
I think it's going to go deep in the fight. I think it's going to go to the last quarter of that fight, or even on points. Algeria's got money, he's got world championship. He's here because he wants to fight in the UK, and he thinks he can beat Conor Benn. They all look at Conor and see holes, but he's ferocious, he's fast, he's spiteful, and it's different when you get in there with him. But he is still, it's not a novice, but he's just, you know, look. Algieri beat Provodnikov, he had a life and death with Khan, he went the distance with Manny Pacquiao. He's boxed at a much higher level than Conor Benn. He doesn't look at Conor Benn and go, oh, I can't believe I'm fighting Conor Benn. He just goes, this is a young kid with potential who I can beat.